Hello everybody, Blue Dooley, and we are back on the RC Everyday Shop Truck build. And I have most of my front suspension and steering worked out. However, I did not properly account for how wide the rod ends are. So I need to redesign one of my arms, but I am happy with the way everything's laying out. I do have the motor installed that I'm going to use, as well as the transmission. So this is a Hobbywing Pro Fusion 2300 kV, and I do need to cut some rod, but you can see we're doing a steering kind of setup with independent arms, and I'm going to actually have to bend the tie rods a little bit to get everything lined up correctly. But again, I am super happy with the way it turned out, even though I do need to make some corrections for it. But that's one of the things we're going to do in this video. So the rod end on the bottom arm is missing. I don't have a long enough bolt to go through the bottom of the shock and the rod end for the lower suspension arm. So I'm going to have to cut some 3mm all thread to length, and then I will thread it into the rod end here, screw it all the way through this, put the shock on, and then I'll have to put a nut on the back of it. But that's not too bad. And there's another look at the way the steering is going to work. Let me grab you here. Actually, let's grab my cutting mat first, so we're not looking at grays and blacks on black. So what I was going for, get you in here, is this bolt's long enough to put two rod ends on, and it'll go over to the steering servo. And then I need to cut the piece of all thread to go between these two links. And this is going to be a bell crank setup. So this bar here will tie this one to that one, so they both move at the same time with the servo. You know what? Just flip the chassis upside down. That might make it easier to see. Because I wanted to do something that would go underneath the frame rail and come over here to the steering hub. Now, the way the steering hub is, because this isn't exactly perfect to real life, I'm going to have to cut the all thread a little on the long side, and I'm going to have to put a Z-bend in it. Which isn't terrible. I mean, again, this is a two-wheel drive truck. It's not going to experience a ton of force on the steering as it is. And we get you here close. I'll take one of these arms off because, like I said, this one I'm going to have to redo. But these are 6mm thick, and I actually do have a bearing in here. So it's not just going to wear out the plastic. I think I'm going to have to move these. I think I'm going to have to move everything to the bottom, just so they don't hit the frame, and give me just a little more steering throw out of it. Yeah, see, it hits there, but I still got plenty of room. So, and again, I did not quite space these out enough to clear these thicker rod ends. So these, the top ones are actually the RDS parts, which are these much smaller rod ends because they just snap on to the ball. So I might actually, I have enough Don't know if I have enough joints or not to do the entire steering out of these. But like I said, I need to adjust these a little bit, and then I need to make one with a third hole to go to the servo. So this steering is going to take up a little more room than I was anticipating, unless I actually move these arms out quite a bit, which I don't really want to do. The idea here is, again, I'm using a longer motor than because of course this top part of the motor is ESC. So if I were using a smaller motor, as you can see, there's still plenty of room between here for fake engine and headers. In fact, I might actually need to move my motor forward, which, again, if I swap them rods underneath, I'll have plenty of room for the steering components no matter how far forward I shove the motor and transmission here. Now I'm going to do a 3D printed engine to cover up the motor, and then it'll bolt over here, and then I'll have all the wires come out between the heads and run towards the back. The on-off switch, I'm actually thinking I'll put to the firewall of the truck. And let's see, we got part of the interior here. As I kind of jump around a little bit, you'll have to forgive me on that. But the tub clears pretty easy. And the back wall glues to the back wall of the cab, but we put this in here. What are you caught on? You'll see that there's actually space between here where the interior just doesn't quite line up with the outside. So I'm thinking my doors aren't going to open. I could try to redesign this whole floor pan, but I'm not sure if I want to or not, because the way the body's designed, the whole door edge here glues the front quarter panels to it, also glues here. And if I cut all this out, it'll just have the glue here and here, and there won't really, and that's not really that much to hold the two body halves together. So I don't really know if I'm going to be able to pull that off or not. I still need to slice the hood out though, because I do want the hood to open. Just so I can have my engine and everything in here. So what I need to do is hop in CAD, adjust these a little more, and get them printing out. These only took about 15 minutes to print, so I think I can get them printed. We'll go out to the garage and cut a bunch of 3mm rod, because we still need to make our rods for the rear end of the truck. So I'm just going to, this is one I had just laying around, but I have a whole bag of them. So I'm just going to kind of measure out kind of what I think. I don't really want a long, it's a street truck, it doesn't really need a long 4-link setup. So I need to do that, and then do the panhard bar. So let me go cut some 3mm rod and we'll come back. So I got the rear links made and the shocks mounted on the axles, but I need to figure out how I'm going to mount them to the frame. I moved the panhard mount to the inside just to give me some more clearance for the shock, and then I still need to cut that piece of rod to make the panhard. But my stainless steel is 4 millimeters, not 3. It was in the wrong bin. So I ended up, I think this is 14. It's standard and close to 3. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I got my center link in or made. I've not had a chance to mess with these arms at all. And the shocks, let me find one of those. Not sure if we're going to be able to see them, but these actually are threaded. A little ball. So, of course, it's not the same pitch as the all thread I have, so I couldn't cut a piece to go all the way through, so I used a ball mount. I'm going to have to adjust these arms just a little bit more. So this video is going to be kind of short, as I cut all the stainless steel to make these nice links, and yeah, it's the wrong size. But I am getting fairly close to I'm happy with the way it's coming out so far. I do need to make some adjustments, figure out rear shock mounts, but I am pretty happy with the way it is. Of course, those shocks are just high enough that it's not going to sit right. So, yeah, the bed I think I'm going to have to cut out, and well, at least the bed floor. I think I'm going to cut that out. I have some balsa wood, so I can actually put a real wood floor in here. So, yeah, I'm going to just slice this bottom out completely. The tailgate warped, so I need to cut it out, and then I'll probably slice it thinner, just so it looks a little better. But that's going to unfortunately do it for this video. So I'm going to work on getting all my 3D printed parts adjusted, and that should be pretty good to go. I think also there's enough motor clearance. I might make an actual bell crank so you can actually mount the steering servo back behind the cab and just run a link up to it, and that'll steer the truck. I'm going to do that in case you want to use this suspension on one of the hot rat rod chassis. Then you can kind of hide the steering a little better instead of just putting it out here in the front. So that's going to do it for this video. I apologize it's short, but yeah, sometimes things just don't always work out the way you want them to. So be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.